Welcome to the Hard Faith Podcast. I'm your host, Spencer Fulmar, and founder of Hard Faith. I've been working in the film and television world for over 15 years. On Hard Faith, we're about asking difficult questions about life and faith in an R-rated world. We release monthly. You can subscribe and share today. You can also write in at info@hardfaith.com to ask questions or to learn about opportunities to sponsor or to be on the show. Hello, my name is Spencer Fulmar. Welcome to another edition of the Hard Faith Podcast. Today, I'm honored to have as my guest, actor-producer Jessica Boss. She's a very accomplished filmmaker in this industry. We've gotten connected recently through some mutual friends, and I'm so glad to have her on the show today. Jessica, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, Spencer, thank you so much for having me. And what an amazing introduction. Wow. Makes me sound better than I am.
Exactly as you are.
Oh, thank you so much. A pleasure to be here.
Jessica and I got connected a few months ago whenever I started my new talent management company, American Talent Management. And she was considering some other managers at the time, and we were super honored and also very excited whenever she decided to sign with us. So we're excited to be working together in a professional, ongoing relationship. And to hear also about her projects. She's not only an actor, she's one of those double, triple threats, multi-hyphenates. She's also a producer. Can you tell us a little bit about the work of your own independent film and how you got in this crazy industry?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, thank you. I'm so excited to be part of the ATM team. It's so much fun. I became an actor when I was in high school. I really enjoyed acting. I was going to be either a doctor or an actor, and I chose an actor to my parents' demise. But I really fell in love with it in an acting class, and I just never saw it as a possibility. You know, it was always, be a doctor, be a lawyer, be an engineer. So when I took this class and fell in love, I thought, you know what? I want to pursue this, and I'm just going to take my chances and move out to LA. And so I did. And I have just been, hitting the grind, pushing forward. And now it's become more like a purpose for me. So it's not just, I just want to make films and just be famous. It's like, okay, there's a purpose behind this. I can actually influence and impact people with my voice, with my likeness, with my movies. So yeah, I really enjoy the art in general. And that's how I got in. And let's see, it's a whole other story how I actually decided to do multiple things. Long story short, I didn't see my type represented, and I'm not talking about Black woman. It was just at the time just Black woman, and she had to be a certain type of Black woman, and it wasn't me. Even though I would go out for those roles, I thought they're a little bit more for the people who it's gonna fit that person, like that ideal person is gonna fit. It's not me. So I decided I'm going to start writing things that suit my voice. And that's that's how I got into producing and now directing as well.
I love it. That's so great. Jessica Boss is a boss.
Holla.
Her production company is, what is it? Boss Pictures? Boss Film?
Boss Pictures, yeah.
Boss Pictures. I love it. And Jessica's one of the most organized, hardworking actors, producers, directors I've met. Whenever we were first signing together, she had a list of all the productions, TV, studio, film, all their schedules, where they're filming, who the casting director is. She did the same for agencies, looking for the perfect agent to complement this team that we're building. And she is just very hardworking. And I look forward to seeing her future films as a producer and director as well. Can you tell us a little bit about your projects you're currently working on?
Absolutely. And I'm glad I didn't draw it. Like you guys didn't get scared off by all my lists.
We love it. We love to run alongside people who are already such strong runners. You help us get better.
I actually, so Unnamed is my upcoming feature film. It's something that was, it was such a God-inspired project. I actually, years ago, an old agent at the time told me, you know what, you should really like boost up your Nigerian background. You should learn the language, you should master the accent. And I was like, yeah, because that's my heritage. So I started using YouTube videos to teach myself. And one day I stumbled upon a woman talking about her experience being sex trafficked. And literally that changed everything for me. Yeah, I started to do such a lot of research about the subject. I talked to trafficked victims. And then one day I literally took it to prayer and I asked God, what do I do with this? Because I'm just an actress and I don't know what to do. And I heard, write the screenplay. And so that's what I did.
Wow.
I'll be honest, first I tried to get my husband to go write the screenplay because he is a writer. And at the time I was not a writer. And so I I asked him, I said, can you write this for me? And he was like, I think this is coming from you and that you need to be the person who writes this. So thank God for such an amazing, supportive husband. And then I went to writing, and I mean, that was the least of my the least of the problems. I'll be honest. After finally finishing the writing of the film, I actually was trying to raise the money and everything else that comes with making films. And boy, oh boy, the hurdles I was jumping through, that it just year after year after year, just nothing, until finally in this 2022, we actually shot it. And we're now in editing, and we're going to clean it up with sound and color correction, et cetera, and hopefully be ready for festivals submissions early summer.
Wonderful. That's so exciting. I can't wait to watch the film. And it's a really important topic, obviously. Tell me a little bit, How do you tackle something that's so heavy, so dark? Obviously, audiences are aware that sex trafficking is not only a domestic but international issue. And sometimes I found with my own films, it's hard to get audiences to care, want to watch a film. So how do you weave entertainment, the film, the story into such an important topic? And how does your faith inform making a film like this?
Well, I'll definitely say my faith informs now everything about what I do. And I literally could not have done this project if it hadn't been for God's grace, because literally it was such a big project for me, because we've made a couple of films in the past, and this was by far the biggest thing I've ever tackled. And I literally was not going to direct this. I wasn't going to produce it. I was just going to act in it. At one point, I even thought maybe I shouldn't act in this. So there were all these things that were coming to play, but as the film kind of started to evolve, people started to get a little bit bigger. So that we had a director, and then she became very busy with TV directing, which is amazing. And I'm super happy for her. And so she had to leave. And then a producer who was super busy, she had to focus on another project. So it kind of came down to a place where I had to have faith that, you know what, I'm going to have to act. I'm going to direct it. I'm going to produce this. And God will help me through this, because if he gave this to me, then the battle isn't mine, it's his. And so I found that I had to have immense faith like I've never had before. I don't even know how I was able to operate. I think we had a 15-day shoot. There were so many things that kept coming up. So at one point I would be putting on my actor hat, and they're like, Jessica, we need you to show the DPs the scene. Okay, so I'm going to direct and blah, blah, blah. Then, oh, Jessica, you have to approve these actors' wardrobes. So my hat is just constantly going boop, 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 to different positions. And I tell you, I could not have done that by myself. I know I didn't do it by myself. And I'm really thankful, because it is coming together very well. I mean, it is a huge topic to kind of tackle. And, you want to keep the respect of what trafficked women have gone through. So I just had to have faith. I mean, that's all I had to kind of hang on to, was just trust that I'm telling the story for somebody out there who needs to hear this. And no matter what the critics say or what the stuff is going on in my head is saying, just keep pushing forward and don't give up.
I love that. I know for me personally, sometimes I am my own hardest critic. And then whenever it's such an important topic, that affects so many people, you want to do the topic justice. But I completely believe that your film will help a lot of people shed light on this dark issue, and that your perseverance will pay off. So well done.
Oh, thank you
Well
so
done.
much. Thank
Yes.
you. I hope so. That's the goal, at least,
Yeah. And you're not afraid to tackle difficult R-rated, PG-13 difficult subjects. You and I have talked a little bit about this offline from the show, but how does your faith guide you in what kind of topics, what kind of films you make, what you're okay with, what you're not okay with, and then as an actor as well, working in the entertainment industry in Hollywood?
Well, my faith does determine the type of projects I do, and I mean, I guess mostly from an acting point of view. I'm not afraid to tackle difficult things, as we talked about. I always think that we we are telling the story as artists, and so we want to be as accurate to the projection of the person that we are portraying. And I will say that every time I have a project, I have to take it to prayer, even things that seem kind of strange. At first, I was thinking, oh, I'll never do, I don't know, something that requires, I don't know, the devil, let's say the devil to be, I'll never do something with the devil. But what if in that storytelling and the portrayal of the devil, you are actually serving the story to show people that, you don't want to get wrapped up in that, So now I kind of take it all to prayer before I just dismiss a project or things that come up with witches. And that, I will say that's still something for me. I'm like, with witches, I'm like, I don't know. I've had deliverance service, so I know that, spiritual warfare is real. And so I'm a little bit, kind of keeping my distance from that kind of stuff. But again, at the end of the day, I know God will guide me in what's right, what's going to help somebody else. And then there's obvious things that may just, you read it and it's just completely not, any sort of redeeming story or quality. And you just have to say, thanks, but no thanks, or quite resonating with this. I don't know. But,
Oh, yeah.
but I'm okay with saying no to some things as well. But I ultimately know that no matter what type of project that I attach myself to, it will be something that hopefully either I will help somebody on set, or it'll be redeeming in some kind of way. Somehow we can talk about our mutual love for God, or maybe somebody doesn't know God, and I'm there to just be the person to, share a few seeds with them, whatever the case may be. That's kind of how I determine it. I'm now taking everything and just saying, what shall I do?
I love that. I feel like it's a much more exciting way to live, allowing God to work through all the different aspects of filmmaking. Not just, is this film a sermon, but what is the redeeming qualities, the people you're working with, the crew you're working with, the whole process. I mean, there's so many opportunities there to have a genuine faith conversation, or just to be led in a new way, in a new adventure, a new challenge with God. So, cheers to you for just getting out there and applying. Obviously there's projects that are not going to be a good fit. I know that from all my actors on our roster, and for myself as a director and writer, there's some projects that are just not going to fit. But I think too, there's a lot of topics that people of faith don't deal with. And we mostly keep ourselves in sort of a family-friendly cocoon. So what gives you kind of the braveness, the faith, the courage to tackle a topic like sex trafficking? I mean, where does that confidence, courage come from?
Well, definitely, I have to say, just by God's grace. I mean, this would never have occurred if, like, if the story I told you, it would never have come to pass. And then I did just a lot of research and asking other victims. And I think that I've actually shared the script with a few of them and a couple of people, different organizations that deal with trafficking. And I think one of the things that made it kind of, it solidified it, was that there were people who have gone through this. They see this every day. They, organizations, they see what trafficking looks like. They see the women who are affected by it. And when they read the script, they liked the script, and they didn't have any really big notes that would have changed the complete story in a different direction. I thought, okay, then I'm on the right track with this. In the end, at least from the few that I have shared it with, they vouched and said, okay, this works. And they only had like a couple of notes. And I thought, oh yeah, those are great, easy notes to kind of, won't change the structure of the story. So that really did also give me some confidence that we're onto something here, because you never know, it's so subjective, art in general. And then trying to tackle something as difficult as sex trafficking, you have different types of sex trafficking. So you might, I was actually a little nervous that somebody might go, well, that doesn't really happen. But I'm taking these stories from researching. It's based on true events, and not just one person's story, but, it comes from the point of view of a woman who's trafficked via employment fraud, And so I was nervous that there were, you might pass the script along and then somebody says, that's not what we see happen every day. And then you feel as though you're not doing the subject justice. I guess it can kind of feel, I imagine, what other actors who play the autobiography of other people, where they have to be very true to who that person is. But if you kind of put your own spin on it, or you do something, somebody might go, oh, that's not how, I don't know, like Aretha Franklin would never do that, or, Elvis Presley would never do that, so you have to kind of honor what's real, but at the same time, because it is an art form, you have to also be conscious of the story. So I was really happy when the people who had read it gave it a check mark and said, this is good. So it gave me confidence.
I love that. As an artist, you acted in the film, you directed the film, you wrote the film, you produced the film, now you're editing the film. When you're dealing with a heavy subject like that, how do you engage, let yourself go, fully embrace that world, but also how do you protect yourself and your soul and your emotional state through this multi-year journey of dealing with such a dark topic?
Well, as an actor, I respect the craft. I definitely respect method actors and all different types. I'm not a method actor. My kind of training kind of teaches us to, when you say action and you're in it. And then when you say cut, you can take yourself out again. So I like that a lot better than letting it live in me, because it is very dark. And for my homework, I did have to go to dark places. But then once I got done with it, I had to get myself out too. So I'm not staying in this dark place. But it's not, actually, I will say this, because I wore so many hats on set and I did a lot of prep beforehand, I had to kind of just throw myself into it, the acting, because it was the one thing I couldn't just focus on. Usually I'm like, oh, I hope I did a good take. Oh, I hope it's good, blah, blah, blah. The things that go on in our minds. And this time I literally, because there was so much to do and I knew it's the purpose of the project that's really important. So I have to just jump in and just do it, just say, okay, let's just go. And let's make it work, and not be the person who's editing my performance while it's happening, and just focus on the other character and the things that are, I guess, in my control. I couldn't just, I didn't have time to kind of think about, okay, what is happening now? And I just had to jump in and just do it. And I trusted the homework I did. And yeah, just had to do it and not think about anything other than that. And I literally took everything day by day, moment by moment. I was forced to, honestly, just because we were under such a time limit. We had a low budget, so we didn't have as much time to just do as many takes and, oh, I didn't like how my take was there. Blah, blah, blah. I couldn't do that for this set. I had to just, okay, couple takes and then pray something works. Like, I can't, And I think that actually, it was actually more freeing for me to be that way rather than just focusing on what am I doing wrong? Because I think we tend to go to what am I doing wrong as opposed to just do it and go full out, Don't worry about how it's going to look because it's not about the how so much, figure out why you're doing it and then boom, just go for it. So that helped. And I will say too, I'm not editing, thank God. So
Thank
that
God.
actually get a little bit removed from the situation. We had an amazing editor, amazing. And the first cut he came that he rolled out, I was blown away. There were I still had notes, but I said, okay, we're on the right track with this. And it was so much more stress-free than trying to now edit, after being so attached to it and everything. I was like, I can't. This has to go to somebody else.
Yeah, that's such a blessing to have a great editor and to get up for air after being submerged for so long.
Yeah.
And I love it. And I love it too. Like at the end of the day, it sounds like you overcame a lot of hurdles trying to find money, trying to find production companies. At the end of the day, and through the film process, you just did it. And I think that's the only way anything ever gets done in this industry, especially as independent filmmakers. We know that we have to wear so many hats to make the film. And if we don't do those extra roles, it won't get made. So we do whatever it takes to make the film. And so the Nike motto, just do it, still is accurate for independent filmmaking. I tell people that are trying to make their first feature film, not to not wait, but to just create, because if you wait, it's never going to happen.
I love that. And it rhymes.
I know.
Don't wait, create.
When it rhymes, it's right.
It's right. I love it. You're 100. I'm just going to piggyback and say that's 100. I think that we stop ourselves too soon when it comes to, because there's all kinds of obstacles. And I think that's actually for like the producing side of my hats. It's normal. Even on big budget films, there are hurdles that you have to cross. And I think that sometimes we look at those hurdles like money and little things that we say, oh, no, we can't do it, or I have to wait. And honestly, the amount of things that kept popping up while I'm on set, if I didn't just keep pushing forward, it would just crumble. And, the whole purpose of this is for somebody else to get helped. Most of the times when we make a film, the message of the story can help transform somebody's life. So am I going to try to rob somebody of getting their experience and getting their healing or their deliverance, or even just making their day? Or am I going to be like, oh, this is too hard, and then just it's like you can't. You just have to keep pushing through, and somehow the answer comes, like the solutions come, and you thank God and say thank you, and then or things, maybe it doesn't come the way you think, or you have to compromise, but you just have to keep pushing forward, because ultimately that's what's going to keep have the film be made. So you're absolutely spot on.
I love that. You're going to rob someone of that experience. You're going to rob someone of that story, that experience. I find that convicting. There's some films I got to make, and I've been delaying it, and that's a good word. So thank you, Jessica.
Oh, you're so welcome.
I got to call out a little background image for those who are listening that can't see it, but I see the devotional book for the Hollywood Prayer Network right in your background there. We love the Covels. We love the Hollywood Prayer Network. We were kind of introduced to each other multiple times through the Hollywood Prayer Network. Hollywood, Jesus, and You is the name of the devotional book. How did you find HPN and the wonderful Covels?
So I met Karen a couple of years ago. I was volunteering at the Produce By conference.
Oh, yes. I love that conference.
It's the best.
It's the best.
So much fun at this one. Like I was volunteering at different film festivals just to learn and, get some insight into how this whole producing distribution part works on films. And I met Karen. She had just actually pitched her own movie. Like
I was there, Calamity Jane. I was
What?
there whenever it was at Paramount in 2019, I think.
Yeah.
And I
Oh
love Karen's
my
pitch, and I love the Produced by conference. It's like my favorite film event all year.
They treat you so well. You learn so much, and you're around people who are actually doing it, which is so
Yes.
motivating. And yeah, Karen's was awesome. And she pitched it, and I was blown away. And I saw her afterwards, and I just told her, I loved your pitch. And, we got to talking, found out we have so much in common. And yeah, she introduced me to people like Produced by, oh, you got to meet Jessica. And, she's just such an amazing person who's so very supportive. She's so generous with, introducing. Some people might feel like, oh, I don't want to introduce you to my people, but she was just introducing me like we were longtime friends, and we've stayed friends ever since. And I see her at different functions, and I've got her devotional, which is amazing, by the way. So I highly recommend it. And yeah, she's her and Mark are literally like they're two of the greatest filmmakers, and he's a music composer, but they have such a heart for people, and helping the younger generation to spread their wings and get out there. So have a huge admiration for them.
I love that. I still say that was the best movie pitch I've ever heard in my entire life, was whenever Karen pitched her, what was it, Calamity Jane pitch at the Produced by conference. Every time I'm pitching or talking about a film, I'm like, how do I emulate what Karen did that day? So, yeah. Go ahead.
She's so calm. I was blown away. I'm like, I would be like a nervous wreck. I don't know how she just calmly, like, just the presence. But I can see why she's so amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love Karen. Love Hollywood Prayer Network. They have great events. It's a really vibrant Christian community out here in Hollywood. I feel like it's the remnant, we kind of stick together, help each other out, introduce each other, and it's just a really loving community. And I'm really thankful for that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yep. Jessica, do you have any final thoughts or any words of encouragement you want to share with our listeners that are trying to make their first film or navigate this crazy industry?
Yes. I think, like you mentioned earlier, we're our own toughest critic, and I can completely agree with that. I'm way too critical on myself. But one of the things I'm realizing more and more is that we are a piece of the puzzle. So don't be afraid to just own who you are, and own when you have something to do it. If you have a project, you got something that you need to express, sometimes you just got to express it. And you have to just go full out with it and not worry about what other people think, even what your mind is saying. You can't worry about that. So I honestly think that the first step is to just say you're going to do this and make that first step. You don't have to have everything planned out. Just have that first step and do that first step. And that first step will open up other doors to the next step and the next step. And before you know it, you'll have a feature film. I mean, I literally don't know how I do know how we were able to do this. This literally it's a combination of faith, just having hard faith. You have to just have a hard faith and just hold on and keep moving forward. And don't let those obstacles stop you, because those are usually the signs. I feel like that's the testing. Mm-hmm. When an obstacle happens, are you going to pass it and get promoted? And if you do it, or are you going to swing back and not do it and get demoted? Mm-hmm. Just do it. You just got to push through and do it, no matter what it takes.
I love that. I'm going to re-listen to this podcast when I'm about to write the next script, so I can remember your words of motivation.
Oh,
thank you so much, Jessica, for coming on the show. So honored to have you as a guest. And where can our audiences find out more information about you? Your social links, your website, please tell us where to find out more.
You can find me at Jessica M. Boss on Instagram, on Facebook, LinkedIn, under the same tag. And we are Boss Pictures on Instagram.
Wonderful. Jessica Boss is a boss. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. What fun. Thank you so much.
thanks so much for listening to the Hard Faith Podcast. Tune in next month to hear our next guest. Please subscribe and share.